Hello wonderful people, it's Wild here. Today I'll be showing you how to build this magical Sculk Cottage. This whimsical build is brought to life with the Sculk blocks and can be customized to be either a perfect creative build or a really cool looking survival base. Let's get working. The materials you need for this build are on your screen now. Here is the outline of today's build. You can see it's essentially 3 rectangles stuck together, and you can go ahead and put in an outline like this to help you build, as we'll be covering over these blocks with the walls. We're going to start our build by placing in some posts, and these will be going in each of the corners. Now if you're building this in creative, I would use some reinforced deep slate, and I'll be placing these 4 high on this front section like this. If you were going to build this in survival, a great alternative would be to use some polished basalt, and I will be building these 5 high on this part of the build. If you are using the polished basalt, I'd recommend adding some polished basalt sticking out at the bottom like this, as that way you can see the design and it adds a little bit more intricacy to these posts. But I'm going to go and swap these for some more of the reinforced deep slate, because I am building in creative and I really like the color this adds. So we've got 5 high on this larger section of the build. And then I'll go 4 high, 1, 2, 3, 4, on these 2 posts here on the little section sticking out the back. So you can see we've got all of our posts in now. Now the next step is going to be adding in our walls, but since we'll be using some blocks and placing them at different orientations, I'm going to go behind each of my wall faces with a false wall of dirt, which I'll be breaking later. This will just help us so we can place blocks in all of the different directions. So you can see I finished putting in all the dirt false walls, and I started putting in a little gable here at the front out of dirt. It should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks high with 1 block in the center, and we're also going to create gables on the 2 ends here, just building one on top of each like this to create a point, and on the other side. And I'm going to create a little gable here as well. Okay, we've done all the prep work, now let's get working on the walls. For the walls, you'll need some deep slate as well as some tinted glass, and we're going to put in the locations of our windows to start. So I've got a 2x3 window here on this front side wall, and I'm going to rotate round to this side, and I'm going to have a 3 high window centered here, a 2 high window just here, another 2x3 window on this wall, a 2 high window here, and then 1 more 3 high window on this other side wall. Now I'm going to switch to my deep slate and I can start filling in, and you can see that I'm just placing this at different orientations. The reason we've got this dirt here is so I can click on the dirt itself to get this face texture of the deep slate. And I'll just fill in this whole section, changing up the orientation as I place. Where we're doing randomizing here, it's always important to take a step back and see if you like the texture. I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to move on to the next wall. And you can see when I'm doing this, I'm just building up to the height of the dirt behind it. When I'm doing these little side walls where we've got our gable coming up, I'm just going to come one below so you can see this step forming. And here, once again, I'm only going up to the height of this lower post so we can see the steps of the gable. When I'm placing in this front one here, I'm going to leave a 2-block gap, then place in my block here, and then I'm adding a window just above it like this. Then I'll go back to randomizing my textures. Alright, all the walls are in now, so I could go ahead and break all of these dirt placeholder blocks. After I cleared out the dirt placeholder walls, I've also dug 1 block down and I'm replacing the floor here with some polished deep slate. Now you could use any flooring material you like, but I like the tile-like look of these polished deep slate blocks and it works well with the colour palette of the build. Next we're going to start working on the roof, but before we put the actual roof in, I'm going to go in and build the chimneys. So I'm going to start on top of this post here and build 3 across with some deep slate bricks. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the next level up and place a brick here. From here I'm going to build up 1, 2 with my blocks here and then come forward with some stairs to create this kind of shape. I then want to build 4 high up with some deep slate brick walls. And I'm going to use these to place in some stairs to create a curve like this. I'll then place 1 more deep slate brick on top, and this is where I'm going to use a soulfire campfire and then surround it with some trapdoors. They are there, they were just invisible for a second. There we go. Now I'm going to go in with a couple more walls just to finish up the shape. So I've got 1 here and 1 here. And that's our first chimney completed. For our next chimney, I'm going to rotate round to the back of the build and locate this post here. I'll then place 2 bricks on top of it and then come behind and place 2 bricks facing towards this side, like that. On top of these back 2, I'm going to build up an additional 2 high with my bricks and then I'll come forward to create this same shape with some more stairs. I then want to place 1 more brick on top of here and then I'll build up 1, 2, 3 high with some walls this time and place in my stairs again to create this kind of shape. Now to finish off this chimney, I'll place in a deep slate brick on top and a soulfire with some more trapdoors. These warp trapdoors go really well with the deep slate and the deep dark theme. I'm then going to go in with 3 more walls, just placing them down from the block below these stairs. Here's how it should look. Now you'll notice that the bottoms of these chimneys have a kind of funny shape, and the reason they're like that is so we can build the roof straight into them. Now for the roofs we'll be using deep slate tiles and stairs and slabs as well as some sculk, and I'm going to start by building the gable sections that are going over here. So for this I'm going to use my stairs and come across and just build up. Starting on this little one first, and I'll be placing stairs underneath to create a nice smooth edge. Once I get to the center at the top, I'll place in an upside down stair, a stair right way up on top of it, another upside down stair, and then I'm going to use a placeholder block. I'm just using some Sculk here, and I'm going to build it out so I can place 1 more upside down stair, creating a little curve like this. I want to create the same gable shape and curve on this back gable here, so I'll go ahead and do that. This roof is taller, but we're going to do just the same thing. Once I get to the center, I'll place in an upside down stair, a right way up stair, an upside down one, and then use my Sculk placeholder to place in a curved stair. We've got a nice little swoop. Now for the 2 larger gables, we're going to be creating a larger swoop, but I'll start off once again by going up with my stairs kind of zigzagging like this. And I'll do that on both sides. Once I get to the center top, I'll place in an upside down stair again, but then I'm going to place a block on top of it and on top of the wall behind it. I'll then go in with a deep slate tile stair here, 1 on top of it like that. Then facing this way, and then I'll use a placeholder block to add in one more stair curving around, so you can see it's got that same curved shape but it's a bit bigger. And I'll do this on the other side too. So now we've got all of our gables in and we can start filling in the roof. So the idea for this roof is it's going to be mainly made out of the deep slate tiles, and then we'll be placing in some blocks of Sculk as we go. So I'm just going to randomize these textures, and when we have joins in the roof like this, I'm just going to kind of wrap them around. Now this is a little bit tricky, but just take your time. And if it doesn't look right, take a step back, and it never hurts to, break a few blocks and start again if you're unsure. You can use as much or as little of the Sculk as you'd like, but I'm just placing it in little patches like this. You can see I'm switching between this lower gable and the larger gable to make sure they're connecting up nicely. For example, in here I'll need to place in an extra Sculk block to fill in the corner. Now where you get to the point where you're at the top of this lower gable, we're going to switch to some deep slate slabs. The other thing is, you can always take a step back and make sure you like the placement of your Sculk. So I'm going to put in some Sculk here and here, and then I'm going to go in with my slabs and I'm going to add some Sculk in nearby the slabs like that. Take a step back. I think I'd like some Sculk up here. And then I'm at the top of this large roof now, so I'll go across with some slabs here. Once again, I'm going to add some Sculk into the slabs. Alright, so that's that first half of the back roof done. Now I'm going to work on the other side, and here we're doing just the same thing. We've got this chimney in the way, so we'll just leave out the blocks that would go there. But just as before, I'm placing in some stairs, making sure they wrap around and connect nicely. Now you can see it is a little tricky to work around this chimney, but certainly working from different angles will help that a lot. Alright, so I've just about reached the top here. I have a few more stairs to put in, and standing on top of the stairs and clicking on this bottom corner is a really useful way to put them in. Now I'll go in with some more slabs to finish off the top here. Okay, I think that's good. I like the placement of my Sculk, so now I can start working on the front roof. Just like on the back side of the build, we've got this smaller gable which joins up to the larger one, so we'll just need to make sure we're leaving some room for these to join up. Once again, I've got slabs going across the top of here and just joining up to the stairs behind them. Now you can see I'm kind of placing in like groupings of Sculk as I go, even before I've got some of the stairs in. What you want to make sure you're doing is going up in a diagonal step, and as long as you do that, it should line up pretty well. Now you can see with this stair here, it doesn't connect up to anything, so I need to make sure I rotate it around so it has this corner texture. And I can just continue filling in my roof, making sure to go behind the chimney. There we go, the whole roof is filled in now. Before we move on from the roof, I'm just going to grab some Sculk veins and place these on some of the Sculk blocks. They add a little bit more texture and a lighter colour. You can see I'm kind of placing these randomly and not covering up all of the faces. It's such a simple change, but it really does make a big difference. Next, we want to work on decorating some of these windows, and I'm going to start with these 2x3 windows. I'll place some Sculk either side and then a catalyst in the center top and bottom. Then I'll place 2 twisting vines building up like this, with some trapdoors on either side. Next, I'll place some oxidized cut copper slabs. I've got waxed ones here, but they don't really need to be waxed. And then I'll build up 3 high with some more trapdoors on either side of this. So it should look like this. I'm going to create this same design on the other 2x3 window on the back side of the build. Just like that. Now I'm going to rotate back round to the front to add in some decorations to the door. So I'm going to be placing my door from the inside of the build here, so it's flush on the inside and set a little bit back from the outside. Then I'm going to add twisting vines on either side and create an archway with some oxidized copper slabs and stairs. Like that. Now I want to create a little window frame above here, so I'm going to use an end rod and surround it with some warped trapdoors. Next we'll work on these 3 high windows here, and for this I'll start by placing a Sculk in the center and some stairs either side. Then I'm going to come 3 up either side with some twisting vines. Now we're going to use some end rods for the center of the window, but to do this I'm going to place one on its side like this, then facing upwards, once again on its side like this, then facing upwards, and then one on the bottom. And you can see that this places this little kind of base to the end rod, one on top of the other, whereas if you just stacked them, you can see that the end rods twist. To finish off the top of this, I'm going to go in with a Sculk catalyst and trim my vines, and then create a little archway using some more oxidized copper. And I'll do this on the other side as well. Like that. The last 2 windows we need to decorate are these 2 high windows, and for this I'm just going to place in my end rods like this with some warp trapdoors on either side of the Sculk block. If you're enjoying today's tutorial, I'd really appreciate if you consider subscribing. It really helps me out and I'd love to have you part of my community. We have this one last window to decorate, and I'm going to start off the same with my end rods and my trapdoors. But because this window is not right up to the height of the roof, I'll need to place in a slab on top. Here's how the build is looking so far. We've got a few more details to add here. I'm going to hang some soul lanterns from each of the little spirals on the roof. And I'm going to hang the one on the front, 1 chain down, the one on the sides, 2 chains down, the one on the back, 1 chain down again, and we're back round to the side. I'm also going to put some warp buttons on the bottoms of each of these posts. If you're doing this in survival and you've got the polished deep slate, where you've placed it like this, with the blocks coming out, you could definitely add a warped button onto the ends like that. But this just adds an extra hint of that teal colour that works so well here. And the other thing you can add is some Sculk sensors to the roof. This adds some wonderful movement and looks really cool. You can add as many or as little as you'd like of these. And just beware not to have any sculk screeches nearby, or you're going to have a very noisy house. See how they add just a little bit of fun movement? And when you walk nearby, they're going to start lighting up, which is a really fun detail. Alright, so I've put my Sculk Cottage in a snowy biome. I chose this biome because the white snow really makes the dark colours of the build pop. Since this is a fantasy style build, I decided to surround it with some little groupings of some sculk mushrooms, and I've just created these using some frog lights underneath for a lovely glow, and some end stone walls, and some more of these end rods. I've also used gravel to complete some pathways going around the build leading to a little seating area, and I've used lots of the warped blocks for my greenery. Another great idea if you're building this in creative is to type this command, Minecraft:give, then your name, and then Minecraft:light, and that'll give you this new light block, and you can place these on your roof to add a magical glow. Since these sculk blocks really do have this magical starry night effect, adding these blocks will make it look like the stars are glowing when it's night. I'm going to place a few of these in just randomly. And then I'll make the world night so you can see just how magical this looks. Now that it's night, you can see what I mean. The sculk on the roof kind of looks like it's glowing, and it really looks very magical. I hope you enjoyed creating this Sculk Cottage today. If you did, please consider subscribing and giving the video a like. It really helps me out. And if you'd like to support me further and get some great Minecrafty benefits, check out my Patreon. See you in another video!